Hello, welcome to the Ironclad Circle channel. My name is Bill, and today we're going to talk about 3 reasons why you should start prepping today. The first reason is that people are largely irrational in stressful situations. So I used to manage a pet food store for a major brand just outside of Washington, D.C. At that point, the weather people were talking about, the blizzard that was coming, and it was, the 17th storm of the century that year. And, but it was going to be major. It was going to be like 8 to 12 inches of snow one day, followed by some more snow the next. So cat and dog food's flying off the shelf, and I'm making the rounds, and there's a lady struggling to pick up a 50-pound bag of food. So I go over to help her and put it in the cart, and she's very grateful. And then she says, I'm getting ready for the storm. Would you mind grabbing me another bag? And I was like, sure. And just making conversation, I said, well, how many dogs do you have? She said, oh, it's just one. And I said, oh, well, what kind of dog is it? She says, Pomeranian. So Pomeranian, so 7 or 8 pounds is like the max Pomeranian typically gets. A dog that size eats like between 4/5 and 1 cup of food a day to maintain its weight, if it's at a healthy weight. And a 50-pound bag has 200 cups on approximately of food in it. So that was 250 days worth of food. And she got 2 of them. That's 500 days worth of food, which comes out to something like 16 months of food because there's a snowstorm coming. And I only point this out because she had mentioned the storm, that's why she was buying the second bag, and I'm thinking, it's not an ice age that's coming, it's just a snowstorm. At max we're going to be in the house for a couple of days. But anyhow, 100 pounds of food for a 7-pound dog. Well, I also used to live in Florida, and during hurricanes and stuff, the same thing happened. Everyone rushes into the store, they buy everything. You can't find water anywhere, even at gas stations. I mean, everything just gets bought up in no time flat. If you're not one of those people who get there first, you're pretty much stuck with whatever you have already in your house. Or you're out there, fighting over a can of beans or something. And that's just not worth the time. So, yeah, people are largely irrational. They're going to rush out, they're going to buy everything up. It's going to be hard to get things that you actually need. So prepping in advance, you don't have to worry about that. If you get stuck at work, if you get stuck in traffic, if you just don't have the opportunity to get to the stores before they get pillaged, you'll be okay because you've already prepared for this. So the second reason is unforeseen disasters. And this is a harder one because with natural disasters, you usually have a couple of days. A hurricane, there's predictions coming quite a bit in advance, and if you wanted to, you could just take some precautions a week out, and if it missed you, fine, you got a little extra supplies. Same with blizzards and stuff like that, but there are some things that happen sometimes that we don't see, and that could be a major economic collapse, it could be civil war, although, well, yeah, and but there's a big one that I think about quite often that is a bigger possibility than others, and that's a major blackout. Now, during some of the major blackouts we've had, carnage comes very quickly. People are poorly behaved. Let's just say that. But so I was reading about that a little bit because I was with how dependent we are on electronics and electricity nowadays. I was thinking, well, what's the biggest threat to that? And what I came up with was I think it was 1859. There was a thing called the Carrington event, and I guess what this really is like a solar storm, and it's like a big flare, and then it shoots like with a coronal mass projection, and these happen relatively frequently, but very infrequently are big ones like aimed at the Earth, where these billions of tons of charged particles are gonna hit our magnetosphere and cause disruption. Well, it did happen in 1859. It was a pretty big one, and we largely weren't an electronic society at that point, but we did have telegraph wires. And those telegraph wires were severely damaged during that. There was even some fires in some of the offices and stuff. And I believe some of the operators even got zapped a bit. But imagine if something like that happened nowadays. I mean, this would be a major disaster. The satellites are I think, largely unprotected. So as soon as those satellites go down, a lot of financial transactions stop. Your debit card, I mean, you get gas at the gas pump, you swipe your card, it's a satellite transaction. I mean, when those go down, a lot of stuff is going to stop. Communications go down very quickly. Water purification systems go down very quickly, and that's a big one because you can't survive very long without water. Fuel resupply, perishable foods and medications are gone within a day or two because you can't keep them refrigerated anymore. So there's a lot of things that happen. I've seen predictions that the recovery from a Carrington-sized event happening nowadays would take us somewhere between 4 and 10 years. That doesn't mean complete chaos for all that time, but there would be some periods of chaos in the beginning because there's no communication, and it would be chaos. I mean, all you have to do is look at any disaster that happens, and instantly there's looters and criminals and problems left and right. So they used to think that this was a somewhat rare event. They called them high impact, low frequency events. It turns out they happen a lot more frequently than we thought. It just so happens that when these discharges come out of the sun, they're just not headed towards the Earth. They're in one of the other million directions they could go. So we've been pretty lucky. Apparently in '92, I think, there was a major one that missed us by like a very slim margin by space standards. And it was, on some estimations, it was 30% more powerful than what the Carrington event was. What that would do to our system, it's hard to even guess, but it would be devastating, absolutely devastating. So there you go. Unforeseen events, another good reason to prep, because if, let's just say that situation happened with a solar storm that did have a projection and was aimed towards the Earth, within an hour, some of those particles would start to affect our Earth. We may see some lights in the skies, and estimations around 17 or 18 hours, we would see the bulk of it. So that's not very much time to prepare. All right, and the third reason, it's fun. Honestly, it's kind of fun. It exercises your brain a lot because there's a lot of different types of prep you can do. You can do bug in, bug out, homesteading, everyday carry, for active shooter situations and any of these kind of things that happen. So, when you take steps to prepare for these things, you're just a little more at ease, and rather than the popular portrayal of preppers being paranoid, you can actually relax a little bit because you've taken all the steps you can. There's no guarantees in any of this. So you do the best you can so that you can take care of yourself, your family, your friends, your neighbors, whoever you want to look out for, and be better prepared to help yourself and others during times of crisis. Okay, well, I think the last thing I just want to say, there's my 3 reasons. People are irrational, unforeseen events, and it's fun. These are all good reasons. All right, the last thing I just want to say is, you don't have to be crazy to be a prepper. In popular culture, you could see the portrayal of the guy in fatigues and is paranoid, and the government's out to get him, and giant robot sharks are spying on me, and aliens are coming to abduct us, and you really don't have to think that way. You just could think rationally about real possibilities. And really, that's what it comes down to. There's guys put on a suit and tie, go to work every day, but they've taken steps to prepare so that they can take care of themselves, their family, and their friends if there were to be a disaster of some sort. And that's really all prepping is. You don't have to be nuts about it. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned here on the Ironclad Circle channel. We'll be posting a couple of times a week, and I appreciate any feedback you give me. Thank you. Stay prepared, and don't let the aliens get you.